Hey there, it's Bobi, aka Paginator. Today is the 1st of July and I'm setting off on my quest to read 31 books in 31 days. So if you didn't see my July TBR video, I will link that in the space down below. In that video, I told you that I was going to try a 31 books in 31 days challenge. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. So as of right now, on July 1st, I'm going into it with high hopes. We'll just see where it takes us. I'm currently house sitting at my mom's and I brought a few of my official July TBR books with me and some extra books as well. When I get done house sitting, then of course I'll head back to my house where I have the rest of the books, and you know, we always have audiobooks on Libby and you know, Kindle and that kind of stuff. Confession, I've already read 2 of my official July TBR books because they were available on Libby and I was doing some work around the house and, you know, watering things and taking care of the cat and stuff, and I just was listening to books. So those ones are already done, but they won't count towards my 31 reads because they're not in July. So I'm starting fresh with books today. In terms of audiobooks, I'm going to start The Perks of Being Wallflower, and then physical books, I'm not sure yet. So I'll take you through what books I have here with me, and then I'll have to choose one of those. So since I already talked about like the official TBR books in that video, I am not going to really spend a lot of time talking about each one of these. We have Persuasion by Jane Austen, Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab, The Floating World by Axie O, The Ghost Writer by Julie Clark, and then I think the rest of these are extra books. I can't remember off the top of my head. But we have The Love Haters by Catherine Center, Bad Blood by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, Reckless by Elsie Silver. This might actually be an actual TBR one. I can't remember. I have a list right next to me. You think I could look it up, but I'm not gonna. I have 2 books that I impulse bought based on a video from Steph Loves. We have The Romance Rivalry and When the Wolf Comes Home. And to help myself get to the 31 books, because I do have some pretty chunky books on my official TBR, I have some manga. So in June, I read volume 3 of Zelda Twilight Princess, and I have volumes 4 through 8 here as well. I'll show you the actual cover of volume 4, so you can see. All right, our hero Link is on a magical quest, and he's discovered different powers within himself, and he's just doing all kinds of crazy things, and we've got to keep going on the quest. I also have the first 6 volumes of Sailor Moon. Okay, I have read number 1. So I'm not sure if I'll reread number 1 to familiarize myself, or if I'll just start with number 2. And then I was challenged by a friend to read some BL manga, which is like boy love. So I have a 2-volume series that is actually going to be delivered to the house today. So I'll show those when the package arrives. So physical reading, I should pick a TBR book, but I also really want to read The Romance Rivalry like right away, because it's all about like readers and readers' love for books and that kind of thing. But I'd also really like to read Zelda. I wish that you guys could just, maybe you're shouting at me in the comments, I don't know, but I don't know what to read first. Maybe I should make up a game within the vlog. I have some cards I could actually adapt into a game. I have this Go Shark game that's like Go Fish but sharks. Do I want to spend time making up a game to tell me what book to read? Probably not. I need to just get started with one. I'm a classic procrastinator. Here's what I'll do. I'll start listening to the audiobook Perks of Being a Wallflower, and then if I want to do some physical reading, I'll just have to pick one and go with it, because I don't know. I'm bad at making decisions about this kind of thing. While I'm thinking about sharks, though, in case you missed it, I did post a Sharkathon announcement video on July 1st. So it's the same day as I'm filming this, but you will have seen the announcement before this, maybe. But if you missed this Sharkathon announcement video, go ahead and check that out. I will link it in the space below for you here. So I'm already linking Sharkathon Announcement and the July TBR. I need to remember these things for my editing self. But yeah, Sharkathon will be coming up on July 20th through the 26th, which I am very excited for. So no more procrastinating. It's time for me to start reading, and we'll see you with a reading update soon. Well, I'm back. It is still the 1st of July. I started listening to Perks of Being a Wallflower and just didn't stop. I was immediately sucked in by the writing style and the voice of Charlie, the main character, and just kept going until I finished it. So the audiobook was about 6 hours. I listened on 2.25 speed typically. So I finished in a little under 3 hours, and I really enjoyed it. I ran it through Copilot, ended up getting a 4.5, a little bit closer to 4 than on the 4 side than the 5 side. I mean, it was very enjoyable, really good mental health representation. It was epistolary, meaning written letters. Very interesting characters. If anything, I didn't care for just the rampant drinking and drug use that high schoolers were doing. I know that some high schoolers participate in those kind of things, but I don't know that, like, I don't know. I don't know that I want my high schoolers reading about just, like, kids doing drugs and drinking a lot with, like, hardly any consequences. So that's just my little, like, morality police brain, you know, being a teacher and stuff. But otherwise, it was a really great read. I have a couple of audiobooks that I can listen to. I have Witchlings by Claribel A. Ortega, and I have Persuasion. I have that available in physical or audio, or I can do some physical reading. I also have an ARC that I have an e-reader copy of that I could be reading as well. And I probably do need to read that because the author is someone I met at an Instagrammer event. I'm just looking at my computer to take a look. The title of the book is When the Sun Goes Down, or Better When the Sun Goes Down by Hunter Hyde. And on Goodreads so far it has a 4.13, but it's just out of 8 ratings because it's still in like the pre-publishing stage. It is book 1 of the Angelics trilogy, and I will read you the little synopsis. It says, Ezra Gray is a recidivist, but an innocent one. He's not a convicted criminal who repeatedly offends, contrary to what the government would have their citizens believe. But that doesn't matter in the eyes of a prejudiced population because people like Ezra, people with special abilities, instill fear in the powerless. Conan Brescitt is normal. He's co-captain of the football team, a hardworking student, and Ezra's only friend. When Ezra lands on the radar of a recidivist trafficking network run by the infamous Angela Barclay, Ezra discovers how coveted his powers truly are and the lengths the Barclays mercenaries will go to obtain them. He's instructed to find a boy named Atlas who promises safe passage to an elusive haven for AWOL recidivists. To get there, Ezra must leave the world he knew behind before he's taken captive. What holds him back is that Conan now knows what he is, but if Ezra goes, he will lose the only boy he's loved. If he stays, he will endanger them both. Conan cannot bear the thought of Ezra's uncertain future. He's torn between following Ezra wherever his path will lead him or staying behind and being without the one boy who makes everything bearable. Will Conan continue to live his normal privileged life, or will he give up his hopes and dreams to protect Ezra in a life on the run? So this is also described as a new adult dystopian thriller. With an urban fantasy twist. So Hunter Hyde, the author, I met them at an Instagram event at the King's English in Salt Lake City last summer. They're super nice, and they've been working really hard on this, and I'm really happy for them. So I need to get into the book and read it. The only problem is that I have a PDF, and I struggle with reading things on screen because it gives me headaches if I'm staring at a screen for a long time. When my students write papers, most of the time I make them print them out on paper so that I can read them that way, because if you had to read 67 essays on the screen, you might get a headache too. So I do want to read it, but also, like, how much energy do I have to stare at the screen. I could have it printed like at Staples or something like that. It's 336 document pages, but that's a lot. So maybe what I should do is take that in shifts. I also need to be mindful of my back because my back is out. I've got a TENS unit going on it. I am taking pain meds and all that good stuff, but it is pretty dang sore. Yesterday I was on the really heavy pain meds and was like asleep half the day. I don't want to do that again. So, yeah, maybe I'll save reading the book on the computer for like the evening when I'm settling down ready to go to bed. I'll read a few pages each day and get through it that way so that I'm not causing myself back pain or migraines or whatever by reading on screen. Does that make any sense? I don't know. So for now, I could, like I said, jump back into audiobooks again. I do have a diamond painting I could work on while I'm listening, but I kind of want to read something physically to start off. And I have been really wanting to open up that romance rivalry book, so I think I'm going to grab that. Okay, so here it is. Like I said, I impulse bought this inspired by Steph from Steph Loves, and this is by Susan Lee. The synopsis says, every love story needs a good trope. Irene Park loves romance novels so much that she's made a career of them as an online book reviewer with a massive following. But Irene's real-life dating story? Non-existent. So when she starts her freshman year of college, she sets her sights on finding true love using the one thing she really understands, romance book tropes. Enter Aidan Gion, Irene's online book review rival and ultimate nemesis. When Aidan challenges her to see who can find love by trope first, he becomes the one person standing in the way of her getting everything she wants, both professionally and personally. As Irene tackles the challenges of college life and struggles to figure out what she really wants for herself, all while trying to fall in love, she realizes that her ultimate HEA, happy life ever after, has been right there the entire time. It just takes finding the right trope to realize it. So when Steph was reading this, she really loved it and talked about how the book is kind of like a love letter to readers, and it talks a lot, has a lot of like reader vocabulary, like things to do with tropes and character arcs and different things. And I'm just really excited to read it. So even though this is not an official July TBR book, we're going to read it anyway. So I'll check back in with you guys in a little while, and we'll see you in a bit. All right, it is evening of July 1st, so this will be, I think, my last check-in today. I am halfway through the romance rivalry and loving it. So many like just fun things. It starts off with a glossary of romance terms. There's like happily ever after, HEA, and auto by author, and insta love, and slow burn, and like book hangover and stuff. And in terms of the story, it's been really fun. Our two main characters are starting off at the same college, not in addition to being book review rivals, and they have to work on a project for their literature class together. And she has never read a Jane Austen book, and they're reading Pride and Prejudice, and then comparing it to a contemporary romance book for their project. And she's still like, we're halfway through the book and she still hasn't read it yet, but the two characters, they're going to end up together. I mean, it's painfully obvious, not painfully, it's very obvious that they'll end up together just because that's how it works in these books. But the way that they're getting there is kind of fun. She's clueless. He's like throwing out some pretty hard signals and flirting and stuff. But yeah, another fun thing about the chapters in this book is that they all start with blurbs from reviews by the two of them, and then the chapter titles are tropes. So we have like opposites attract, small town romance, workplace romance, rivals to lovers, and so on. So like I said, I'm about halfway through and really enjoying it. Okay, so we'll see how we do by the time it's all said and done. Also wanted to show the books that came in the mail today. I mentioned I was getting a BL manga series. It's just a 2-book series. It is called The Dragon's Betrothed by Meguro Hinohara. And the cover does say explicit content. I guess I didn't realize that. I don't know. So my friend that challenged me to read BL manga, she said it sometimes was steamy. So I guess I should have expected that. But what we'll do is I'll read to you the blurb that's on the back of volume 1. It says, troubled writer Chiharu Izunomi reluctantly returns to his rural hometown, hoping some R&R will refresh his creative juices. Instead of finding respite, he is quickly entangled by an old promise to wed a local god. Rin, the water dragon god to whom Chiharu has been betrothed, can be disarmingly friendly and charming, but inside lurks an animalistic ferocity. Can Chiharu escape Rin's protective embrace, or is his fate already written? Yeah, there we go. I'm really hoping that the 2 books are the complete series and there's not going to be any more published, because when it comes to manga, I have a bad habit of like just reading 1 or 2 volumes at a time and not, not finishing it all, and then I lose track of the story. Okay, yeah, volume 2 was published in 2020, so that's a good sign. This probably means that the series is done. It's just complete with 2. I might read these next after I finish this. I don't know. I'm sorry, I feel like I'm very rambly right now. I'm still in a lot of pain with my back. I went outside to do some watering of flowers in the garden and stuff, and while I'm watering the garden, I set a sprinkler for 10 minutes in one location and then move it to another and stuff. So I sat in a lawn chair outside and just like read during those 10-minute periods, and it felt so nice out there. I thought, oh, I want to stay out here and keep reading for a while. But there came a strong smell of cow manure that was just like wafting through the air, and I thought, nope, I don't want to be reading a romance story while smelling cow manure. So I came back inside. So I'm going to go back out to the living room couch and get comfy and keep reading. And we'll see you at the next check-in, maybe tomorrow. Good morning. Sorry for the lines coming through the blinds on my face. If I open the blinds all the way, it's super bright. And I am in a whole lot of pain. If possible, my back hurts worse today than it did yesterday. I got up in the middle of the night to pee and I could hardly stand. So yeah, it's a mess. I'm gonna go get ice on it straight away and keep reading. I'm gonna try to stay immobile for a little while. So I read almost all of the romance rivalry yesterday. I'm on page 339 now, and you can see where my bookmark is. Let's see, maybe you can see. Yeah, I'm almost at the end. So I fully anticipate finishing. It's darling. It is just a sweet, fun romance about readers, and oh, I love it. I'm going to take the 2 manga books with me to my seat and see if I can just knock out some reads today. Got almost 2 done on the first day of July, which I think is good progress, and we'll see how many I can read on the 2nd. Okay, it's time for another update. It is July 2nd still. I have been to the chiropractor. This morning I finished the romance rivalry. It was a 5-star rating on Compile. It followed like the traditional structure of a romance plot, with like the 3rd act breakup and then the grand gesture at the end, and they get back together and that kind of thing. But it was playing with tropes the whole time, which made it really, really fun. Plus it being about readers was just like extra level of enjoyment. So usually I wouldn't give a lighthearted romance 5 stars, but that reader element just kind of bumped it up a little bit higher. And then I went ahead and read the 2 volumes of The Dragon's Betrothed, the BL manga. Enjoyed the story a whole lot. Really fun characters. So Chiharu is the writer, and he doesn't feel like he's as good of a writer as his former grandmother, who's a very famous writer and that kind of thing. And even though he's won this really prestigious award, he doesn't tell anybody about it. And then we have our dragon character, Rin, and he's just immediately like insta-love there for Chiharu. And the way that he works so hard to try to win Chiharu over and stuff. It's just kind of sweet. But I did mention before, it says explicit content on here. Yeah. Nothing really explicit in the first volume, but in the second volume, yep, it's there. The story-wise, it was good. I gave the series 4 stars because I liked the characters and the plot so much. I am not sure what I'm going to read next physically. I did start another audiobook, which is Witchlings by Claribel A. Ortega. And that is about a girl named Seven who is supposed to go to the ceremony to get chosen to be part of a witch coven. And she is declared a spare. And she and the other 2 girls that were declared spares have to complete an impossible task in order to become a fully fledged coven so that they don't remain witchlings forever and potentially lose their powers. And when they strike a deal to do this impossible task, they're told if you don't complete the task, then you will become toads. And obviously they don't want to become toads. So their task is going to be to kill a shadow monster, I think it's called. I've been listening to the audiobook as I drove to the chiropractor and back and stuff. And so let's see, how far am I? I'm at 29% on the audiobook. So almost a third of the way through. It is very enjoyable. It's a middle grade. So I definitely will finish that up in the next day or 2. And then for physical reading, I think I'm going to go with The Floating City by Axie O. I got that in my most recent Fairy Loot box, and I'm just really wanting to read it. So I'll probably go pick that up next, and I think that's it for this checkup. Having been to the chiropractor, I'm still in pain, but not nearly as much pain, and I feel much better than I did before. That doesn't mean I'm going to go sit at the 4th of July rodeo, probably, though, because bleachers, not so good for the back. That is coming up later this week, and my nieces are going to be doing some events in the youth rodeo, and I'd love to go watch them, but I don't think I can do it unless my back feels like 1,000% better. But anyway, I'm going to go read some more, and we'll check in later. Good morning. It is now Thursday, July 3rd. I didn't do a check-in before I went to sleep last night because I was just really tired. I didn't read a ton in The Floating World. I read 2 chapters just to kind of get me started. And I did learn we're going to have alternating POVs here. So we start with Ren, who is an acrobat, and she's traveling with her family, with her aunt's husband that she calls Big Uncle, and then her aunt's brother, who she calls Little Uncle. And they are kind of wrapping up their season, and she uses magic when she's not supposed to, and so her aunt says, you know what, you're not going to be able to perform in the last show other than like play a flute or something. You're not doing gymnastics anymore because I told you not to use your magic. And then she gets sent to go find her uncle, and he's doing a repair job for someone. They get paid in these little treats, and he shares them with her. And mostly in that chapter, we're seeing kind of opening actions and learning a little bit of background about how she came to live with her aunt and uncle, and she was really scared, and her uncle was the one that really like made her feel at home and stuff. And they had lost a child, her aunt and uncle, so they have like some sad history as well. The next chapter is from the point of view of Sunho, who is an ex-soldier, and he lives in the underworld. And to be honest, I don't remember everything that happened in his chapter, which is sad because I now need to get into the next chapter, which is also from his point of view. So I might do a little reread of that chapter because I kind of already forgot what happened. Yeah, that's not good. If you can't tell, I haven't even done my hair yet this morning. I am still in like just pajama kind of clothes, and I'm kind of out of it. Maybe I should have waited a little bit to film the update for the morning. So anyway, I will continue reading in this. I will continue the audiobook, The Witchlings, if I have a chance to today. Tomorrow's July 4th, and I am hoping I get to go. There's a parade nearby that my nieces are going to be in. they're in the parade as rodeo queens. So they're gonna be on horseback and stuff. So I say hoping to go because I really don't want to go by myself. So I'm hoping that like my sister and her family are going and I can tag along with them. Anyway, yeah, if you're in America or celebrate the 4th of July, I hope you had a good one because it'll be after that day when this video comes out. And I'm gonna go do some reading. I'm contemplating at some point in the month of July doing a 24-hour timer kind of challenge and just like sprint reading as much as I can. I won't be able to do 24 hours straight because I'm old and I need my sleep. But maybe we'll do the timer at some point this month. But yeah, I'm gonna go do some reading now and quit rambling because you probably aren't sure what in the heck I'm saying even. I'm not sure what the heck I'm saying. We'll see in a little while. Okay, it's early evening, I guess, on the 3rd now, and I actually showered, changed out of my pajamas, you know, that kind of thing. Had a pretty productive day, actually. I got a lot of work done on my thrifted junk journal project, which you're going to see in a different crafting video. And I finished listening to Witchlings by Claribel A. Ortega. It was really, really cute. The 3 girls I mentioned before, they had to band together to complete this impossible task. And while they were on this kind of quest to complete the task, they discovered some shady things going on in their village and things that shouldn't be happening. So they had to put a stop to that as well as completing their impossible task. And yeah. That's probably all I'll tell you plot-wise because I didn't want to spoil anything, but it's very cute. It is, again, a middle grade fantasy. And I really enjoyed it. I will definitely put it in my classroom library because they do have a physical copy. And I gave it 4 stars after running through Copile. I have had good luck lately. Haven't had much in the lower ratings. And now that I've said that, of course, I'm probably gonna read something terrible. Anyway, still physically reading The Floating World. Haven't read anything out of that yet today because I've been crafting and that kind of stuff. So maybe I'll sit down and do some physical reading before I pick my next audiobook. And yeah, that'll be it. I might check in again with you before I go to bed, or it might be later on. So we'll see where the day takes me. Catch you in a little bit. It is almost 11:30, so I will be going to bed soon. And I have been reading in The Floating World. I think I'm up to like chapter 11 or 12. Anyway, our 2 POVs actually have become 3. We have Jael, who's a kind of like a royal, but like also a military guy. I don't know. I'm still a little bit confused on him. But Ren, our female main character, the acrobat and everything, her uncle was attacked. Big uncle, the one that's like a father figure, was attacked by a demon. And little uncle was also injured and has been given only a few weeks to live. And she's decided that she's going to set off on a quest to figure out how to save him. And then we have Sunho, who is like a sword for hire in the underworld, and he has been hired to find this girl who has used the power of silver light. And of course we know that's Ren. He doesn't know what her name is or anything, but he has been offered a reward. The problem is that several others have also been offered the same reward for finding her and bringing her in by these people from the Floating World, which I take to be kind of like that equivalent of like heaven, like a world above the regular world, and then there's the underworld. So floating world, regular world, underworld, maybe? I don't know. I'm still a little bit not quite clear on that. But I'm liking the character so far. Sunho and Ren have just come across each other for the first time, and she has already commented that he is very good looking. We know that they're going to catch feelings for each other just because the author told us so, and then in the author's note that she wrote in the Fairy Loot edition. So anyway, yeah, my arm's getting tired from holding up this camera, and I want to go to bed. So we'll see you probably tomorrow. Hey there, it's July 4th. It is like 9:30 at night or something like that. I went to the 4th of July parade that's here locally. 2 of my nieces were riding their horses in the parade, so it was fun to see them. And got to spend a little time visiting with my sister and her kids while we watched. And then I just came back home. There were some rodeos and things that my nieces and nephews are competing in today, and my back's just not well enough to sit on the bleachers for that long, so I didn't go. And I should have been spending that time like reading a whole bunch in the floating world, but honestly I just can't. I read one chapter and it was from that third character jail or some, anyway, that I don't really understand, and I'm still having a hard time figuring out how the world building works. Like, what is the floating world? What is the underworld? Is the underworld our world, or is the underworld like what we would think of as like hell or something like that? Like, I don't know if I understand. I looked up some reviews online and other people mentioned also not understanding, so that made me feel better, at least that I'm not the only one that doesn't understand quite what that's about. And I'm just having a really hard time like moving forward in that book. I'm not gonna hard DNF it, but I am gonna set it aside for now. I want to try something else. I did start listening to Persuasion when I was driving home from the parade. So I got some read in that, and I think for physical reading, I kind of want to pick up this book here, which is Catherine Center's new book, The Love Haters. It's not an official July TBR book, but that doesn't matter because I have to read a ton of books this month anyway. Yeah, I'm having a little bit of kind of just like I don't want to say like a really down day, but like kind of just, I'm pooped. I think I'm missing my house. Don't get me wrong, I'm so happy that I can help out my parents while they're gone, and I love their house, and it's my second home, but I just kind of want to be back at my own house, you know, that kind of thing. Plus, not only has my back been injured, but I'm pretty sure I pulled a muscle in my hip. So that's, you know, I'm not feeling like up to my like A game, I guess is what I'm saying. So what I'm going to do is, and sorry if you can hear noises, the TV's on in the other room. It's the Golden Girls. See if I can get some physical reading done in this book, and I'll probably check in again tomorrow. Yeah, I'll see you in a little while, or tomorrow or something. Holy cow, it's bright this morning. Good morning. It is now July 5th, and this might be the last day that I do for this portion of the 31 books in 31 days vlog. Wow, I can't, if I lower the blinds, then you're gonna see like stripes over my face, so I'm just gonna have to like squint into the sunshine, I guess. So last night I did start the Catherine Center book, and got a little bit into that before I went to sleep. I love all of her books. I have loved everything that I've read from her, and so far this is setting up to be another cute romance. Our main character is a video producer. They make promotional videos for different companies and things that hire them, and one of her co-workers that's a little bit superior to her but not like her boss comes in and says, hey, how'd you like to go to Key West for a few weeks to do a promotional video for the Coast Guard? And she has a side business that's a YouTube channel where she makes like day in the life videos of everyday heroes, people who have done like heroic things, you know, like saved an animal or that kind of stuff. And the guy who has asked her to do this, her coworker, his brother is the person being profiled, especially for the or showcased for the Coast Guard, and he had one of those moments where he saved Jennifer Aniston's dog and would never give any interviews about it. So his brother's like, okay, just go like do this video and then you can do one of your YouTube videos about my brother and he'll give you an interview about this heroic thing that he did. So she thinks it's a great opportunity and she's all up for it, except for she doesn't know how to swim. And in the next chapter where she's talking with her cousin, we get a little bit of backstory about why she doesn't know how to swim. So as part of this backstory, we learn that because of the death of her mom, she didn't take swim lessons when the rest of her cousins did, that she grew up very close to. And later on, her dad started dating this woman named Angela. And I'm going to read a little bit of a passage to you because there's portions of this that are very similar to an experience of mine. So by the next summer, my dad had started dating a lady named Angela, who I want to emphasize had some nice qualities, but who also wanted to guide me through puberty by telling me over and over to suck in my stomach. Beanie knew all about that too, and she was not Team Angela. I do think Angela meant well in her way. To clarify, Beanie is her cousin. That's like her best friend now. I'm not excusing her, but intentions do not matter. She wasn't trying to hurt me. She was trying to help. It's just that her version of helping, as Beanie was always put it, was supremely effed up. She thought the most important thing a woman could possibly be was tiny. Within 6 months of marrying my dad, Angela had put me on a diet. I was 12. Looking back at photos from those years, I'm always shocked at how much I looked exactly like all the other ordinary kids. But I guess Angela wanted me to be extraordinary. She was trying to teach me the rules of being a successful woman as she understood them, and it never occurred to her that women might be able to write those rules for themselves. Without getting into too much detail, I can tell you that I was also taught to suck in my stomach and was very, very often compared to other girls in our horse 4-H group and at my school, and it was pointed out to me how they had really perfect figures and all that. And I felt when I was a teenager that I was as big as I am now. And looking back on photos from that time, I was a normal sized teenage girl. So I feel already very much connected to Katie, our main character here. She learns that she's going to be on helicopters a lot on this trip, and you have to be weighed when you get on a helicopter because they can only take so much weight and everything has to be calculated and stuff. And she's never been in a swimsuit since Angela had come into her life, and she's really concerned about those kind of things. And she's going to be around these like super soldier Coast Guard rescue swimmers, and you know, that's going to maybe make her more self-conscious about her body. So she is trying to figure out what to do, and her cousin Beanie says, well, you're going to get there a couple days before you have to start, so see if you can get into swimming lessons, like at least learn enough to dog paddle and like keep yourself afloat. And she goes, okay, that's actually not a bad idea. So she hasn't left yet. She's still packing where I'm at in the book, but she's really upset about having to weigh herself and like announce it to the helicopter pilots and stuff. And I absolutely get that. I mean, it's something that a lot of women deal with, whether you're a large woman, or whether you're average size, but you just feel like you're too big because of our screwed up society beauty expectations and stuff. I mean, it's a struggle, as is looking into the sunshine. So yeah, I definitely want to keep going with this book. I do want to come back to the floating world. I'm not in the mindset right now, so I'll come back to that before the month's over, hopefully. But yeah, today is my last full day of house sitting, I think, unless something goes wrong with my parents' flights when they're coming back. So they should be back tomorrow in the afternoon, and I'm going to try to have dinner cooked for them by the time they get back from the airport and stuff, and probably stay a night just to, you know, make sure everything's okay, and I want to hear about their trip and stuff, but, yeah. So, I am being so not eloquent right now, and my eyes hurt, so, yeah, I'm gonna go, and I'll check back in with you later. Okay, we finished this book. It was only like 302 pages, so it went pretty quickly. The other thing that helped, of course, is it's Catherine Center. I love her writing, and yeah, everything that I read from her has just been delightful. So I told you about Katie and some of her fears and things. She had to go through this training to like know how to get out of a helicopter if it lands in the water, because apparently helicopters will flip over if they land in the water. Like, I don't know, it's kind of crazy. Anyway, and so Hutch is the one that's helping her to learn to swim and all that stuff, in addition to being the subject of her video that she's making, and you know, those are romantic leads. And then his idiot brother, who was the one that sent her on this whole journey in the first place, kept lying about stuff, and it was crazy. Hutch's Aunt Rue, who owns the like the Verbo place that she's staying at, she is delightful. She is like just this funny little lady that is just living her best island life with her gals, and like this group of girlfriends that they're all a little bit older, but just loving life. And those characters are also just super enjoyable. And then we have a great big dog named George Bailey, who's scared of thunder, and you know, there's lots of things going on. I won't tell you all the events in the book because I don't want to spoil it, but I will say, if you need a bit of a pick-me-up, this is a great one to read. And there are some things that I'm going to try to remember for myself in terms of like accepting yourself and that kind of thing. So it's been a great read. Now I just need to decide what to read next. Good morning. We're staring into the sun again. I really need to find a different filming location here, but we're almost done. So I forgot to update yesterday before we went to bed. After I finished The Love Haters, I picked up Reckless by Elsie Silver because I was just kind of like in romance mode. And I have read, let's see, 95 pages. We have Winter, who's our female lead. She's a doctor, and she is just getting away from her toxic husband. She's got her divorce papers ready to go. She heads to the small town where her sister lives, and they have been estranged for a while. But her sister immediately says, "Yes, come here. I want to see you." Winter already is working there some of the time as like a doctor who comes and goes. So I'm sure there's a better term for that, traveling doctor or something. Anyway, but she decides that's just going to be her main job because she wants to get away from her husband, away from her mother, who is a terrible person. And on her first day in town, after just like essentially leaving her husband and telling him to F off, she's at the gas station and she sees a really hot guy. That's Theo, our male lead. Okay. He's a bull rider. He's in town training with, so Winter's sister is named Summer. I know, weird sister names. And her husband, or maybe fiance, somebody else in their circle of friends was a bull rider. And so Theo's there like training with him, trying to up his game, that kind of thing, before he goes back on the circuit for the rodeo season. Now, you know that I'm going to have to say something about the rodeo stuff. Now, let's do a little comparison. In The Love Haters, we have the Coast Guard, which is heavily featured. I can tell 100% without knowing much about the Coast Guard myself that Catherine Center did her research. She knows what she's talking about enough that like someone who's not heavy into the Coast Guard world can completely understand everything that's happening. And it's very clear that she researched and learned about this group of people. Elsie Silver is Canadian. There is a massive rodeo community in Canada. One of the biggest rodeos in the world is in Canada, the Calgary Stampede. It would have been very easy for her to talk to some rodeo people or go online. Like, anyone in the world can go online and look up stuff about anything if they have internet access. So it's interesting to me that she chose to not do that. And there's just some things that as a rodeo person are bothering me. Like, okay, he's a bull rider, right? So you're in an event where a guy is going to strap himself onto a 1,000+ pound animal, and this animal does not care who it hurts. In fact, sometimes they want to hurt people, right? They just want to get that guy off their back, maybe stomp on him on their way out, right? She wrote that the announcer who like introduces all the athletes, you know, does the commentary, all that stuff, was standing in the middle of the arena. What kind of idiot is gonna stand in the middle of the arena with a microphone when there's going to be a bull charging out of the bucking chute at any moment? That's not how it works. It seems like any idiot would have figured that out. And I'm not calling her an idiot. It just seems like, well, maybe you should have thought that through. Like, I don't know. This is a little thing, and you're probably thinking I'm being kind of a jerk to the author. I'm not trying to be. Little things just kind of get to me when they are things that could so easily have been done correctly. Now, the scene I'm talking about where she put the announcer in the middle of the rodeo arena, which she kept calling a ring, which is so stupid. It's not a circus. So Winter has gone to this rodeo, and it's their hometown rodeo. She knows Theo's probably going to be there. They haven't seen each other in quite a while, and she's worried about that, all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. So they're describing her watching the different events in the rodeo, and the author puts barrels first. Barrels are never first. They're usually second to last, right before the bull riding. Okay, little things like that, they're just bothering me, right? The bull riding association that Theo belongs to is not a real thing. She could have easily given the name of a real bull riding association. There are several. Okay. That's not as big of a deal, but like just so far, those things are really bothering me. I don't know. There's a couple other things that are bothering me too about one of the characters, but if I told you those, it would spoil something that happened in the book, and I don't want to like mess it up, because even already 95 pages in, we have had a couple of big things going on. Now, I'm not going to quit this book at this point, because even though I'm annoyed, I still want to give it a shot because I want to give this author a fair chance. So many people online have talked about how good her books are and how great the romances are and all this. So I do want to still continue with this and give it a try. I'm try to look past the things that could very easily have been done right in regards to the rodeo stuff. Because I'm probably coming off sounding like a rodeo snob. And I'm so sorry. In terms of this vlog, this is going to be it for now. I just kind of feel like this is a good place to stop. Being like a Sunday, kind of starting a new week and so on. So I'll continue with this, but as far as this chapter, this is going to be the end of the video. So thanks for sticking with me. If you made it this far, give me a cowboy emoji. There's like a smiley face with a brown cowboy hat on it. And we'll see you in the next one, and we'll see if I can get to my 31 books in 31 days. Have a wonderful, magical, and bookish day. Happy reading, crafting, or journaling. Adios.